Hello guys, it's Teenage DC Fan back in another video, and Captain Sarahlands is still off in Star City on some sort of mysterious mission, but that's okay because Katie Lotz's presence is felt in this week's episode of DC's Legends of Tomorrow because she actually directed this episode, and Lotz received the perfect episode for her directorial debut. The hilarious titled Mortal Khanbat, which is a fun homage to John Woo's action films. Now, given Lotz's martial arts and dance background, it shouldn't come as a surprise to learn that the episode has some amazingly staged action sequences that are some of the show's best to date. But not only that, there are also many amazing jokes that were featured in this episode that actually landed pretty well. Like, Legends is a more comedic show compared to like The Flash and Batwoman and stuff. But sometimes the stuff they try to do isn't really that funny, but I feel like a lot of the stuff in this episode actually was funny. But we pick up with Charlie and Gary rushing a terminal lung cancer-ridden Constantine back to the Wave Rider. And there isn't much Gideon can do apart from sedate Constantine because this is a magical issue. So it's not long before Constantine is barely back on his feet and making his way to the mansion, with Gary and Ray following closely behind to help him. And even though she just got back to the ship, Charlie begins looking for a way out because her sisters, the other two fates from Greek mythology, have started calling out her telepathically. Unfortunately, she gets roped into staying on the ship for a team meeting, during which Ava shows off her new Encore tracking device, the Prognosticator, which honestly is a stupid name. But nobody was really much of a fan of it either. But guess what the Legends are excited about, though? Nate's new scooter, and this actually sets up an even funnier gag later in the episode. But anyway, Charlie sticks around to help with the latest encore, Genghis Khan, who pops up in Hong Kong 1997 because it took him 700 years to dig out of his tomb. And time may have passed, but Genghis is still intent on conquering the world and plans on using the modern tools at his disposal to do so. His first move, though, taking control of the Triads. So Genghis shows up at a Triad-controlled tea house the Legends are staking out. Ava's plan is for them to simply sedate him and bring him back to the ship, but things of course go sideways, and Bayrod spooks one of the Triad guards. Cue the aforementioned amazing action sequence. And first the Triad guards start shooting at Bayrod, then three female detectives flip over a table, pull out two guns each, and start shooting, at which point the scene devolves into stylish slow-motion chaos as bullets whiz through the air. And my two favorite moments were Ava's badass team-up with one of the detectives in a 360-degree shot, and Charlie and Bayrod's standoff with Genghis. And honestly, this entire set piece is just a true flex of on Lotz's part. The action scene also sets up one of the episode's most interesting and honestly somewhat random elements, Bayrod and Charlie's relationship. Before the bullets started flying, Bayrod seemed very thrown by Charlie's return, and once all hell broke loose, he was determined to make sure she was alright. Well, turns out these two hooked up and did the nasty up after Hayworld, and Bayrod is still in his feelings about it. And all of this feels like it comes out of nowhere because at no point in the first 4 episodes did Bayrod seem to notice or care that Charlie had left. Furthermore, I wonder if there was a way to give Charlie a connection on the Wave Rider without it involving her hookup with someone. Yeah, but oh well. And even though this is kind of random, I'm not against it. Charlie is a character that at first I didn't like, but she's starting to grow on me. But Bayrod is honestly probably my favorite character on the show. We've only had 4 episodes with him, and he's already great. But, so yeah, I honestly kind of like this relationship and hope it works out for them. But Bayrod and Nate have a heart-to-heart in which Nate tells Bayrod he just needs to, ask Charlie what's up since it might not even be about him. And Bayrod actually ends up taking that advice, but Charlie pushes him away even more. And she specifically says, "We had sex, mate, and it was mediocre. get over it. Oh my god, that was a terrible accent, but just ignore that. But it was basically, we had sex, mate, and it was mediocre. Get over it. And she basically yells at him right in front of an imprisoned Marie Antoinette, who has a cameo in this episode. Anyway, Charlie makes off with a time courier because her sister won't leave her alone. And through some undercover work, the legends discover that Genghis plans on attacking and killing Prince Charles, who is in town to hand Hong Kong back over to China. With a new fleet he had the Triad build for him, scooters. Yes, this is there's a brilliant shot of Genghis and his men riding down the streets of Vancouver, Hong Kong, on these vehicles, or bird-like vehicles. And it's hilarious, and I love it so much. Especially because it's very specific to this historical figure, since horses were a major part of his military tactics back in the day. And this is the sort of specificity I wish we had gotten in episode 2, though. Anyway, short story later, Charlie actually ends up taking Prince Charles' place in the motorcade and gets captured by Genghis Khan. Bayrod shows up and saves them both by stopping the bullets, and he uses the air totem to do that. And he actually didn't even know that he could do this. Apparently Charlie told him, like, hey, you could probably do this. But he didn't think he could, and he didn't want to find out, but then he did. And apparently he can. But it's awesome, though. And through all of this, though, Bayrod convinces Charlie to open up about her past to the rest of the team. So back on the ship, she reveals that she's Clothos, or however you're supposed to say that, one of the fates from Greek mythology, and her sisters are chasing her because she destroyed the Loom of Fate and scattered the pieces across the multiverse thousands of years ago. She believed that it was wrong for any one person to have that much power, so that's why she destroyed it. And finally, we're getting some kind of reference to Crisis here, and an actual, consequence of Crisis, because, like I said, those pieces were scattered across the multiverse, but now they are now all on Earth Prime because of Crisis, which of course is the gift that keeps on giving, and the legends assure Charlie she can stop running because they've got her back, which is sweet, because this is honestly probably the first time they've actually referenced the fact that, oh yeah, you're part of the team, you're not just living here for no reason. So yeah, meanwhile in England though, Constantine tries and fails to find a cure for his lung cancer, and when nothing works, he lashes out at Gary and Ray and decides to just die alone. Well, that is until the dog handle of his cane scolds him for giving up when his friends are just in the other room. So he eventually joins Ray and Gary at the table for one last meal right before he dies from the poison he took in order to have some control over his fate, because he was basically like, if I'm going to go out, I'm going out on my own terms or whatever. However, instead of going to hell, he ending up in purgatory and finds Astor there waiting for him. There, he manages to convince Astor that he can fix everything that's gone wrong with her family. And she turns the gears on his soul coin thing, sending him back to the world of the living, cured of cancer. And newly resurrected, Constantine announces it's time to talk to Charlie about the Loom of Fate. And also at the end of the episode, Sarah does return to the Wave Rider, confused about all the scooters and stuff. So she is back. That's good to see. And honestly, this was a pretty good episode. I wouldn't say it's as good as the Freddie Myers episode, because that was my favorite episode, definitely of the season. But I'd definitely rank this as the second best episode of the season so far, because Genghis Khan was pretty cool. But yeah, I'm excited for next week because we have a Mr. Rogers parody. So I'm excited for that. And yeah. So let me know what you thought about this episode down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Just let me know. So thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hope to see you in the next video, so I can bestow all my DC knowledge upon you.